Jeremy Rule has been at the forefront of two technology revolutions, first cloud and now AI. He joined us to talk about how his team is taking GitHub to the next level and how knowing your superpower is key to success. This is Profiles in Brilliance. Thanks for being here today.
It's great to be here.
Explain your job to someone who's not in tech.
Sure. Well, GitHub, we like to call ourselves the home for all developers. We got about 100 million users of GitHub, and my group helps when a company wants to adopt GitHub and get help with using our technologies in the best possible way. So we work with partners, we work with customers, and we work with just developers that even want to get certified on our technology.
So what does an average day for Jeremy look like?
We're a remote first company, so I usually work from home unless I'm out visiting a customer or partner. So I'll get up in the morning, I'll check Slack and email, I'll take my giant St. Bernard for a walk out in the neighborhood, then I'll come back and I'll usually start meetings. And every day is a little bit different, never know what's going to come up, but the company is growing very quickly too. So being able to lead through change and be ready for this AI revolution that's happening to us too.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite interview questions when I'm hiring is to ask somebody, give me your highlight reel.
Yeah.
So tell me about like your career highlight reel, top 3 moments.
Top 3 moments. That's a great question. Earlier in my career, when I first got to Microsoft, actually, I realized that I was not the best developer. I love developers, but I was not one of those.
So you started your career as a developer?
I did, mostly, yeah. But when I got around the professionals at Microsoft that were really good at it, I knew that I wanted to be around developers, but it might be more involved in sales and leadership type roles. So getting that first leadership role was probably a career highlight. The second one was I was at Amazon Web Services for a while. I got to start up their developer consulting division. So that meant a lot of hiring, and that's something I really enjoy. I learned a lot about how to do hiring in a very methodical way. Number 3 is probably just now that I'm here at GitHub, I've had the experience of seeing both the cloud revolution that happened, when I was at Microsoft and AWS, but now the AI revolution, which is fully upon us. So just being witness to that and just being somebody who enjoys technology and especially enjoys software development, that's probably a big highlight too.
I don't know, good on you. Cloud revolution, AI
absolutely.
revolution, you're here for it.
Who knows what's next?
Awesome. So I think you had told me that in like your big hiring boom or over the course of your career, you've hired more than 1,000 people. So that is a lot of hiring.
Yeah.
So you must have advice. So when you think about like the people that you're hiring, maybe for our audience, like younger technologists, people who are up and coming in their career, what guidance do you have for them?
Yeah, a couple things. And I have been a very prolific hiring manager, so I have learned a few things. One of them is if you're just brand new to your technology career, it's okay to bounce around to a couple places or a couple roles within a company so that you find a good fit. I remember telling a college hire class once at Microsoft, hey, I hope that like half of you aren't in this role next year. Like maybe there's a different role within the company or even a different industry that you find a better fit for your superpowers. Another thing though is if you've been in industry for a little while, stick it out for a little further length of time, so that you can really master something, really become a master of some craft or some discipline. I know for me personally, I always say it takes me a year to figure my job out. Maybe some people are quicker, but I think if you are constantly bouncing around, then you're not gaining all the skills and experiences you could have, or you're not providing enough value to the job you've taken on. So there's a nice balance there. And on the very opposite end, I also feel like if you were to stay in the same role, same position, same company for the entirety of your career. Maybe that works for some people. There's some traps you could fall into there too. You might hear it called the boiled frog syndrome or something like that. Sometimes you need to make yourself a little uncomfortable and take on something that is new and different in a different environment. And I know each time I've done that in my career, it has been a little uncomfortable or a lot uncomfortable in some cases, but in the end it's probably worth it and probably did help with my career trajectory.
That's an interesting juxtaposition. So early, be willing to hop a little, experiment, explore.
Yeah. In
the middle, like settle in, really learn, give yourself time to master, and then also know when you've been sitting in the water too long.
I think so. That's a pattern I see.
Oh, that's good. So you talked about knowing what your superpower is. What would you say yours is?
I think a few things. One is I really do enjoy the hiring process, having a mix of culture fit and functional fit, being able to identify talent. I also enjoyed building really strong leadership teams. and having them be really effective and drive really great results. That brings me a lot of energy. And then I think helping people develop their careers, whether that be through promotion or pressing them on their superpowers and make sure that they're using those superpowers at least once a day, if not once a week, or else you're probably in the wrong role. And then balance that with what my old boss used to say, Jeremy, you got to do your dishes. So do the things that are required of the job, even if you don't like them. Always strive for excellence, and then if you find yourself only doing dishes and you don't like to do dishes, not that there's anything wrong with doing dishes, then make sure that you find a role that uses your superpowers.
I love that. How do you create a team environment or cultivate teams where people are really getting to express their superpowers?
And there's a lot of tools out there to help people discover them if they're not familiar with that or they hadn't really thought through that. There's strength finder type materials and courses. But a lot of people know, and it's what gives them energy. So if there's something that you do every day or every week that brings you energy, one of the icebreakers I do with my team a lot is I like to ask them, what do you do for wellness?
Ooh.
And I love some of the answers I get because it's not like 14 people are all going to say, well, I jump on the Peloton at 5 o'clock every day. There's a whole variety of things that people do for wellness. I've had people say, well, I help write plays for the local theater company. Other people say, well, I'm trying to learn guitar, so I grab the guitar for 15 minutes. Other people say I need to, hit the gym for one session a day. But the reason I ask that is not just because I want to learn more about people I do, but I also want to send the message that I value that. So I value a team that keeps their energies high and has a way to recharge. And that's a kind of a core value that I want people to understand. So for me personally, I play in a band. I play cello in a band, and it's a string band that does Northwest folk music. And I just know that after we've done a show, I'm smiling for 2 hours.
You're like lit up.
And it takes me a while to, come off that high, but it just gives me so much joy.
If you got to go back and give let's say 25, 30-year-old Jeremy a piece of advice, what would it be?
Early in my career, I would have some things or ideas or directions that I knew were right, but it was more like spidey sense. I didn't know how to kind of convince the old guard, that was the right direction or the right thing to do. And I hadn't learned, how to bring a data-driven argument that was very thoughtful, wasn't just my spidey sense. So I would lose those arguments or those ideas or those battles. And then years later realize, I was totally right. I just didn't know how to present the argument.
Yeah. Okay, so it's partly about remaining keeping the conviction in your idea, but then learning how to present the idea.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how AI is either changing or shaping your role and what's ahead?
Yeah, I would say every customer and partner that I talk to, that is a topic, and it's probably the main topic. GitHub is now a developer platform, and we've built AI into every part of the developer lifecycle. And I think everybody got an early look at that, a couple years ago when we had a GitHub Copilot come out. But now there's so much more to it that covers that whole developer lifecycle, and it's changing how we think about writing software. So that's, and AI obviously touches every other area. My oldest son, he's 21 and he's a senior at Washington State University studying computer science. Wow. And I remember I had Copilot chat up on my computer and we were talking, and he was a little skeptical of what it could do. And I said, well, I'm not much of a programmer, but I had a little help. So I
You had a Copilot.
I asked him one of his hardest problems, and I said, see, I can do that. And he was pretty impressed. I think it'll be interesting for somebody of his generation and, the universities, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to look at AI as, hey, this is like a threat to how we develop and learn, or is it something that's just here and we have to figure out how to learn it?
Plus,
yes.
How does it help me, right? It's not AI or me, it's AI plus me, and how do we get better?
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that, obviously we think about at Andela is the talent landscape is really shifting. What's one trend that you're either watching or you wish more people were leaning into?
I think post-pandemic, if I could use that term, the workforce is just more distributed now. And that's certainly a strength of Andela that we at GitHub are really enjoying that strength, is that we can cover a lot of time zones, a lot of languages, and a lot of markets. And It's no longer, hey, this is a high-tech company that lives in this one city, and that the world is different now, and everybody has to embrace that in some way.
So Jeremy, I know that GitHub is fully remote, so you've got your workforce distributed around the globe. Can you talk a little bit about how you build and manage a global team?
It's really getting the best person for the job. So if I know, for example, I need somebody to do partner offerings development, and they happen to be in Amsterdam, I'm not constrained to say, no, I must hire them in Amsterdam. You can get top talent, and you can get perspectives in geographies that you might not have gotten before.
So Jeremy, now we're going to do like speed round. Quick questions, quick answers. What are you most excited about at work?
I am really excited at the potential for AI. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think it's one of the most fascinating things I've ever seen in technology.
Do you ask for permission or for forgiveness?
Usually for forgiveness on most things.
Stay up late or wake up early?
Early riser, for sure.
What is something that we can't Google about you?
I can juggle and ride a unicycle at the same time. I don't know. If
While
I've ever
playing a
mentioned
cello?
it. I haven't added that.
If you were going to write a book, what would the title be?
I would like to write a book on leadership principles, just looking across industry, finding patterns and how they're used.
Thank you for making the time and letting us and our audience get to know you a little bit better.